Welcome to another edition of the Wrestling Underground podcast. I am your host, as always, Chad Porter. Joining me is the glorious one himself, Marcus Crane. Marcus, how are you?
Good man. It should be a fun one.
So we have to get to the elephant in the room, the EC3 Velveteen Dream drama. Marcus, so Dream has accused EC3 of doing cocaine. EC3 has accused Velveteen Dream of doing nude photoing of people's genitals while they urinate. Neither man has denied that the other person's claims are untrue. EC3 just said that he never popped positive for it. And Velveteen Dream basically said, yeah, I did it, but also, what did you do? So, what's the general takeaway from this whole entire situation?
Uh, I think there's bad people on both sides. No, yeah, it sounds like a little bit of everything happened. I don't know. It was interesting how, I mean, he basically said his phone. He left his, seemingly said, I'm not gonna say basically, seemingly said he left his phone in the bathroom, but it wasn't recording, and then he had it like a second party prove that it wasn't recording anything. And that anything that was on his phone that was in the time frame of alleged recording was not that. It was interesting. Like I said, he didn't
He
talk
took a
about the
long way to say, yeah,
yeah,
but.
yeah, and because he didn't name names, which to the to a degree I respect, because you don't want throw people in this frivolous under a frivolous bus. But to be fair, it's not like he got much less to lose now, so that does show a monochrome of I guess coof on his part with this whole thing. But essentially, he just came back at EC3 with the cold thing, and like you said, neither party kind of denied vehemently either claim specifically with the coke of it all, which you would imagine some of these guys are doing a little bit of something. Specifically, these younger guys who are having some success coming into these things and having these house parties. God knows what goes on, and EC3 looks like he gets into a little bit of the athletic elevation products, if you will. So, quote unquote, street terminology here, booger sugar wouldn't necessarily be out the realm of belief. But yeah, it's interesting, man. I just wonder who else was involved in this whole thing and who could, if they were willing to come forth and be a witness to some of this effort, if you will.
Well, I would assume that it's basically everyone in NXT at the time. Because they were both in NXT at the same time period. So think about the hottest names in NXT and what was that, 2016, 2017? And that's pretty much who I would assume was participating. Maybe it was 2018. But
Yeah, yeah,
still.
because I think yeah, because he debuted like I think yeah, EC3 came in and debuted in that North American ladder match. So I mean that was him, Cole, Dream. I want to say Gargano, maybe Kev had left before. Maybe Kev had left by then. Owens, but yeah, yeah,
Well, let's see. North American title, NXT.
ladder match. Yeah,
Let's see who was on the card that night. That was Adam Cole's first night. That was in TakeOver New Orleans 2018. I think EC3 debuted at the end of 2017 in the crowd. So here are some potential names that were there. Lacey Evans, definitely believe it. Otis Dorzovich, definitely believe that. Tino Sabatelli, definitely believe that. Riddick Moss, definitely believe that. Adam Cole, if he did cocaine, he would be vibrating through a wall and then nothing. Because he's so tiny. Ricochet, yeah. Lars Sullivan, yeah. Killian Dane, that man, probably not. Velveteen Dream, definitely. Shanna Baszler, yes. Ember Moon, I hope not. The Undisputed Era, Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. I'm gonna pass on that, but I could definitely see Akam and Tokar and Razor.
Ugh.
Definitely see them. Pete Dunne, no. Roderick Strong, no. Aleister Black, yeah. Andrade, yeah. Johnny Gargano, I'm gonna say shockingly yes. So I think you I think that's a solid core of potential NXT booger sugar enthusiasts. What about you, Marcus?
Yeah, I mean, I could. I feel like names like I feel like somebody like Kyle O'Reilly was somewhere practicing kickboxing, and Cole and somebody like Ember Moon was literally somewhere playing video games, um, which is 100% believable. But yeah, I mean those names, yeah, I could definitely see it. You know, as I'm saying, speaking of Alistair, I think he might be taking a mental health break, from AEW. But yeah, I could definitely see those names not only being at the party, but
So
partaking in some of the.
a little update though on the Aleister Black thing. Apparently he has a back issue.
Mm.
And apparently he was unhappy in AEW and wanted to go back to WWE, at least according to Dave Meltzer. We'll see how much of that actually holds any water.
Yeah, I wonder if any of that has to do with just kind of missing the wife.
I'm sure it has something to do with it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the other big news: War Games coming to Survivor Series. I think one War Games match would be fine, but we're gonna get two. Marcus, before I go on my spiel, what do you think about the War Games?
I like it. I dig it. It's funny because I was kind of agreeing with most of wrestling Twitter, which is rare because wrestling Twitter is like just a cesspool for uh, unintelligible babble. But the whole thing about, man, we're gonna do war games and we're gonna have the classic William Regal's war games of it all. Um, but yeah, I appreciate the thing about war games because that was kind of before. That was a WCW thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that I didn't even get introduced to the War Games concept until they did it in NXT. Uh, but yeah, I dig it. I think it's a great concept. But kind of leading off into what I guess you're about to go off into, much like Hell in a Cell and other match concepts that they turned into whole shows. You know, those scenarios to really be saved for something that's a few that's kind of boiling over. You know, to a high point, if you will. Like I think going back to you know Impact all those years back, that would have been a great situation to do, like with the main event Mafia and I think with the front line
Mm-hmm.
or something to that, um, or or aces and eights and I guess the roster, whatever roster, with all the good guys on the roster who cared to get entangled with it at that point. So um, I could definitely see one feud that won War Games. I don't necessarily see the second one holding up as much, but I get the appeal specifically if they want to do one men's and one women's. We know the narrative with that. So
I say scrap the gendered base War Games and just do one. If the hottest angle is the women's, do the women's. If the hottest angle is the men's, do the men's. Because unlike doing something like the classic Survivor Series elimination match, like you can only book War Games so efficiently so few times. You can't just keep throwing the same overly convoluted, abusive wrestling out there and expect it to have the same impact. That's one of the reasons why we don't have any more great Hell in a Cell matches because they're so constant, and you get three of them on a show sometimes. It's ridiculous. We don't need two War Games matches. We could use one, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing something like a brand battle, be it Battle Royal or a Survivor Series match. Another Survivor Series match would be fine. Maybe do the inverse of whoever gets the War Games match. So if the women's get the War Games, you do the men's Survivor Series and vice versa. And I think you build that around a couple title matches and boom, you got a good card. But WWE likes to beat a dead horse until it's nothing but paste. So here we are. And even though Triple H is getting all this undeserved love, because I've watched a few minutes of WWE and it's still not interesting. I think he's going to do the same exact problems that Vince, kind of fell into with the over reliance and overabundance of certain match types. And we shouldn't be that surprised because he was doing it in NXT. So, and that's the thing. Like for me, I never liked NXT, and 2/3 of the WWE audience didn't either. And now we're going to be getting that NXT style booking again, and I just don't know if if this is a good thing or not. I have my concerns. Marcus, are you excited though about War Games as a concept coming to mainland WWE?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I like the match concept, but to your point, it should really be said as something that's really been boiling over. A few that's kind of been relentless, that's not been able to be contained, that it kind of needs to come to the ultimate head, like a like like a match that's been waiting in the wings with like weeks of like brawling and this, that, and the third. But also like the match itself also kind of can count as a grudge match as well. So yeah, that's kind of what War Games should be. But like you said, we kind of bastard our thing because with WWE, as I've always said, more is more, not less. So and specifically punching up the narrative of the women too, but it's like, yeah, but the women don't really, garner this women's feud ain't really been garnering the smoke. You just have enough bodies conveniently to do a War Games match, but you know, they real good at manipulating the audience into thinking or making stuff feel more than what it is. So, you know, you tee stuff up and then I guess you hit it out of the proverbial park, whatever that's supposed to mean for them. But yeah, like I said, I think at least maybe one feud wants it, and a lot of times these feuds are undersold, and then the talent have to get in these situations and over the level, which a lot of times both the main and NXT rosters had to do. So looking forward to it from that point.
Yeah, I think looking back at the most successful War Games, they were always built around a storyline. The Sting turn in '96, Kurt Hennig turning in '97, Ultimate Warriors kind of random mass appearance in '98. So I feel like Triple H's narrative is the overflexing wrestling of it all, and seeing just every War Games be about spot after 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 spot. It's almost a little bit much. I want more story in my War Games. I want more games, less war, so to speak. Marcus, is there anything else going on in the world of wrestling that you want to touch on before we touch on our 10 favorite wrestlers that remind us of the Spookums season?
Yeah, I mean, did something else. I guess we got a new promo for Richie the Dragon, huh?
Wait, Richie the Dragon?
I'm talking about Dragon Steamboat.
Okay,
Uh,
because that's Ricky. Richie is his son. He had to retire due to a back issue, ironically.
wow, didn't know that.
Yes.
That's interesting. Sucks.
He may have been the
Uh,
first NXT champion, actually.
mm. So it wasn't Bo Dallas.
I'd have to check now. God,
Okay,
I hope it wasn't.
no. Was it Rollins or was it Bo? I don't know.
It may have been Seth
Uh,
Rollins, actually. Let me double check that. Seth Rollins was the first. He defeated Jinder Mahal. That can't be right. Let's see. Richie Steamboat. What do you got for me, Google? He's 35. He looks a lot more like Ted DiBiase than I thought he would. Ruh-roh. He was the FCW heavyweight champion. That's what he was. The progenitor. I think he was the last FCW champion. I think that's what I'm thinking of. He wrestled from 2009 in the WWE to 2013, where he had to retire due to back issues. So, there you go.
yeah, but I think you said something on Twitter about I guess he didn't want to wrestle Flair.
Yes. So Ricky Steamboat is coming back for one final match. I don't remember who's putting it on, but I don't think it's the same outfit that did Flair's final match. But yeah, so Ricky Steamboat's coming back to wrestling, and I don't know how to feel about that because he was pretty clear. He's like, I don't know, guys. I don't want my last match to be bad. And my match with Jericho in 2011 or whatever it was pretty good. So, like, I'm good with that. And yet here he is, that dingus, come back. And Marcus, I have concerns. We saw how
I mean,
bad the Flair match went, so.
the funny irony here is his last match was, I guess, supposedly written to be against Flair, and he pulled out for whatever final reason. And then I think he might have saw the Flair match and was like, well, shit, I can do better than that. So Flair might have, helped motivate him in his inability to, kind of get over himself. Because we saw that match win. That might have motivated Steamboat to be like, well, I can definitely top that. So
It does kind of make you wonder, what exactly did Ricky Steamboat see, feel, or think between saying no to the Flair match at the end of June, early July, to saying yes afterwards in August? That's going to be interesting because if it's like what you just said, where he saw that and he's like, I can do better than that, then can he? Because otherwise, it's going to be interesting. Because I haven't seen Steamboat move in a ring in some time. We saw the Flair videos and we're like, well, Flair can kind of still go. And then he couldn't. So I don't know, man. Do you want to see a Steamboat match after what we saw with Flair?
yeah, because I think I trust Steamboat more. I mean, I trust Steamboat more than I trust Flair.
Well, yeah.
And then not only, and not saying that, because I'm definitely not trying to iterate that Flair wanted to go out there and have a bad performance, because that if he would have known that was gonna happen, he probably wouldn't even did it. But yeah, I mean, also I trust Steamboat's health more, and it could have been, like I said, what he saw from Flair. It could have been some added ducats, if you will, on the financial side. But either way, I wouldn't mind. I think Steamboat's done a great job of holding up over the years, and I think he ain't gonna put himself in a position, specifically if he double back now to look bad. I don't know who his opponent is, but I want to say, is it MLW that's fine? I don't know if it's MLW, but they
It's
got a
like
new.
Capital Wrestling or Big Top Wrestling, or it's not MLW.
Yeah.
It's not a major outlet, which I'm not surprised about. Although I kind of am.
So,
You would think that someone like MLW or Revolver or PWG or somebody would be like, yeah, we'll throw some money at this. But then again, I don't know who funded the Ric Flair last match. Like Jim Crockett Promotions was the promotion, but I can't imagine that Ric Flair came cheap. Looking at that roster, you're looking at least a few $100,000 in a single pay. But they sold out, so like, $20 a pop, 10,000 seats. And that's at least. Like, some seats probably were more. Like, you're looking at least $500,000, maybe even $1 million for the gate. That kind of makes it worth it, but I don't think Steamboat has that same kind of non-wrestling appeal. Like, because everyone was writing about it. Like USA Today, Fox News, CNN, like everyone was doing pieces on it. So who knows if Steamboat can draw the same type of appeal and if fans will be just as interested. I don't. So it's going to be a thing, Marcus. It will be a thing.
Yep.
All right. Are you ready to move on to our top 10 of the week?
Let's do it.
With Halloween coming up, we decided to do our top 10 wrestlers we most associate with the Halloween season. Marks and I each have 5 picks. We'll explain our picks. They're in no particular order. Well, mine are, but I don't know if Marcus's is. But they don't need to be. Mine will be, however. And I think mine are probably pretty cross-promotional and cross-generational. A little bit. There's definitely an over-reliance on 90s stars. But you know what? Oh, well. And Marks, if you take any of mine, I'm going to cry.
Yeah, mine's are pretty much straightforward. Be surprised if we have overlap. A couple names, maybe not so much. But yeah, this should be interesting. We always have maybe a couple crosshairs depending on certain stuff, but because like I said, your wrestling knowledge with other companies is more extensive than mine. I'm looking forward to the cross promotion of it all, specifically a particular individual.
Would you say a particular individual housing?
I was thinking of a person that may or may have not crossed paths in the serialized form with a certain Texas Ranger.
That was fucking terrible. Buddy hit him with the death drop. All right, I'll go first. Starting with my first pick, I'm going with a more recent star, someone of the SmackDown persuasion. She was a big deal on NXT, so much of a big deal that they even gave her the Halloween Havoc shows to host. I'm going with the Shotzi Blackheart of it all. I've been a big fan of hers since Rise, when she was feuding with Delilah Doom. I think she's a phenomenal talent. She's exactly what I talk about when I'm like, so many, women in WWE don't have an authentic look. Shotzi's all authentic. She's a little horror icon. She rides around on a little tank, although she doesn't have the tank anymore, but she's apparently going to get it back, I think, so we'll see about that. That, I think, will be a lot of fun. And her connection with Halloween Havoc kind of makes her a shoo-in for me. Because I love the Halloween Havoc, and I'm looking forward to watching some old ones for this spooky season. But Marcus, who's your first pick?
I mean, first off, I gotta say, piggybacking off of yours, before I get to mine even, I had no real connection or inkling or like real connection, if you will, with Shotzi. I'm like, okay, who's this kooky, obviously punk rock girl or whatever, or goth, however you want to label it, girl coming out in this tank and doing her thing. I'm like, she's cool, but she don't really do anything for me. Then they had her host them damn Halloween Havocs, and she was serving this seductive new generation Elvira type of vibe, and I was internally drooling, not gonna lie. It was weird at first, but I submitted to it. So yeah, shout out to Shotzi, man. She really, that was probably one of the best things that happened for her character in NXT, was them having her host Halloween Havoc. That was the perfect mix of a character for a theme show. So yeah, for me, my first pick may seem like an obvious, but I mean, I think it should be off sort of, the longevity of it, if nothing else. I gotta go with the Dead Man. Yeah, man. I mean, the fact that character went as long as it did through the eras that it did, and was able to maintain a level of mystique and aura, obviously associated, with the funeral concept of it all, and the spookiness of vibes, summoning lightning and druids and potential demons and all of that, that can so